I'm Jason, UFC, and today we have a story about UFC lightweight contender Arman Tsarukyan explains his lack of interest in fighting Dustin Poirier. Tsarukyan does not see Dustin the Diamond Poirier as a next logical opponent. Arman Tsarukyan is flying high following his main event victory this past weekend, UFC Fight Night. Too high, apparently, to entertain a possible fight against Dustin Poirier. Tsarukyan emerged from the Moody Center in Austin, Texas, as one of the biggest winners at Saturday's night event, having secured a rise in the top five of the UFC lightweight division by brutally knocking out Beneil Dariush in just 64 seconds. It was the main event. Sarukian, the standout, has long called for an opportunity at cracking the UFC top five lightweight contenders, even suggesting that the likes of Poirier and Justin Gaethje should retire if they aren't willing to fight down the ladder. Okay, and now that Sarukian, has secured his desired surge up the pecking order courtesy of the Beneil Dariush knockout, Sarukian has seemingly lost interest in sharing the octagon with Dustin Poirier. This is what Sarukian said. A Dustin Poirier win won't get me to the title. Wow. During a recent appearance on the MMA Hour with Ariel Hawani, Sarukian assessed his next step as a pursuit of a rematch with UFC lightweight champion Islam Makhachev continues, with Charles Oliveira still expected to be next in line and BMF title holder Justin Gaethje seemingly waiting in the wings to challenge either Makachev or Charles do Bronx Oliveira. The question of a possible showdown with number 3 ranked Dustin Poirier was posed to Sarukian. But given a knockout loss, Dustin Poirier suffered against Charles the Highlight Gaethje at UFC 291 this past July. Sarukian doesn't believe the matchup makes any sense. Gaethje Poirier, they tried to find someone who is a striker from the top 5. They never fight with someone from top 10 or top 15. Sarukian says, to be honest, I don't want to fight Poirier because he lost his last fight. It doesn't make sense to fight him. If I beat him, people say, he just lost his last fight. I want to fight for the title. I need someone who's definitely after that fight. I'm going to get the title fight. It's like Gaethje or Oliveira. Sarukian continued. If Oliveira thinks he's number 1 contender and he got the fight, let's fight and let's figure out who is number 1 contender. Sarukian did go on to give Poirier his flowers. However, given the ex-interim title champion's recent setback in Salt Lake City versus Gaethje, Sarukian believes only victories over Oliveira or Gaethje will net him an opportunity for the title. Poirier is a legend. I respect him. He's a tough fighter and he's won the UFC interim title before. Sarukian stated, he beat a lot of good people and he's a very good fighter. To watch his fight is always exciting. It just doesn't make sense for me to fight him. Is that... Oh, okay. I think that's the article. You kind of have to expect him to be saying this. When you crack the UFC top 5, you're not looking for one step up. You have Dustin Poirier coming off of a loss, right? So you're not really looking to fight him. Charles Oliveira, he has a cut over his eye that he sustained. When was that? Last month in October. So he had to pull out of his fight versus Islam Makhachev, where Alexander Volkanovski ended up getting knocked out by Islam Makhachev. I think that was in the first round, right? So the question is, who does Arman Tsarukyan fight next? After a 64-second victory, he's ready to go, right? Arman Tsarukyan is probably looking at UFC 300, right, as a great ticket to get on. Islam Makhachev, as I mentioned, he defeated Alexander Volkanovski, well, I believe it was a head kick, right? I think that was a first round head kick knockout also. So both of those guys are ready to go. Dustin Poirier versus Charles. No, Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje. That happened in, I think that was that July or August? I think that was in July, right? And I think that was like a either July or August. I can't remember specifically. I'm an MMA casual, so I can't remember all these dates. But Dustin and Gaethje, that fight happened. That was another head kick knockout, right? Poirier got knocked out. I think that was that the second round, first or second? All these fights have ended really, really quickly. I think that was the first or second round. It could have been a first round knockout for Justin Gaethje there. So he's ready to go also. So the question is, what does the UFC do, right? They've been trying to get the rematch between Islam Makhachev and Charles Oliveira to happen again, right? Charles Oliveira coming off of a first round victory. All these guys got first round victories, but Charles Oliveira was coming off of a first round victory over Beneil Dariush, so he gets a title shot. So I'm imagining Arman Tsarukyan is kind of thinking the exact same thing. Charles Oliveira has a loss to Islam Makhachev. He got finished in, was that the second round? I think that was the first or second round also. Islam Makhachev finished Charles Oliveira. Was that the first or second round? I literally can't remember. But when Arman Tsarukyan and Islam Makhachev fought, I believe that was 4 or 5 years ago, that was a decision victory, right? So I know Islam Makhachev is not too crazy about all these rematches. He had to fight Alexander Volkanovski twice. His first challenger, Charles Oliveira, that would be a rematch. Another challenger, Arman Tsarukyan, that would be another rematch. Kind of I don't think this is a wild card, but Kobe Covington has been taking a few shots at Islam Makhachev. I really doubt that fight is even close to on the horizon now because of the performance by Arman Tsarukyan, but that's just something we just want to throw out there. I really doubt Kobe Covington, even if Kobe Covington wins at UFC 297 versus Leon Edwards, I really doubt Kobe Covington and Islam Makhachev will be fighting for the UFC title. So where's Arman Tsarukyan? Where's Charles Oliveira? Like I said, he's coming off of a nasty cut above his eye. Will that cut heal in time for UFC 300? Where's Islam Makhachev? Islam Makhachev fought twice this year, right? I know some people only want Islam Makhachev to fight in the Middle East, but Islam Makhachev fought earlier this year in like Australia, right? Or, either Australia or New Zealand. So, Islam Makhachev is down to fight twice a year. So with the early part of next year, pretty open. You have a middleweight title fight in January. You have a featherweight title fight in February. You have a bantamweight title fight in March. You have April that's open. Islam Makhachev, UFC lightweight champion, will be available. The light heavyweight champion, Alex Pereira, he will probably be available, and Tom Aspinall. Those three are the champions who will most likely be available. Like I said, I don't really expect the winner of Kobe Covington versus Leon Edwards to be fighting at UFC 300 in April. I don't expect that to happen. So those three champions, they are available. Arman Tsarukyan coming off of a 64-second first round finish. He will be available for UFC 300. Islam Makhachev, he should be available after a first round knockout of Alexander Volkanovski. Who else? Charles Oliveira, we have to figure out what's happening with his injury, if his cut is still above his eye. I would not be surprised if the UFC gives the fight to either Justin Gaethje or Arman Tsarukyan. Like, I would not be surprised if the UFC goes to Charles Oliveira after a victory like this by Arman Tsarukyan and say, you know what, the best thing with both of you defeating the same opponent basically in the first round, you two should probably fight. We're going to have the BMF champion, Justin Gaethje, a new matchup versus Islam Makhachev, and then we're going to have Arman Tsarukyan versus Charles Oliveira. I don't, like I said, I'm an MMA casual. I don't guarantee that's going to happen. But with the cut above Charles Oliveira eye happening basically a month or two ago, I don't know how fast that heals. And I don't think he will be necessarily ready by April. Maybe he should be ready by April. I have no idea. Let me know your opinion of this story. I'm Jason, UFC. Today we had a story about Arman Tsarukyan says he is moving on past the idea fighting Dustin Poirier, and he wants a fight versus Islam Makhachev or Justin Gaethje. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the $1 donation button, and please tune in to the next video on this channel. Thanks a million for watching.